I looked at the software at that time and it just didn't meet the needs of what was needed for this type of teaching. And so, we launched ZonGuru as a support for that business as our start.
I'm Bryce Gracie, host of the ZEE e-commerce podcast, and this podcast is dedicated to boosting your trajectory towards international success through connecting you with e-commerce and Amazon experts, all with something different to offer.
Today we spoke with John City from ZonGuru, who are doing amazing things in the e-commerce space. They have about 17 tools and products for you to use, and we basically speak about product selection, market selection, and how ZonGuru acts as a business consultant using actionable advice with real-time AI. Welcome back to the Easy E-commerce podcast. Today we are joined by a fellow South African and ZEE at that. He has a wealth of knowledge in the e-commerce space and also runs the Amazon Seller Network on Facebook. He is currently CEO at ZonGuru, and our guest today to dive into yet another critical aspect of your business. Welcome, John City. How's things going?
Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Good to see you, Bryce. I haven't heard the phrase "Vitsi" in a while, so that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, I was scrolling through your LinkedIn there, and I saw University of the Advantage run, and I was like, you got to make a mention, man.
Dude, that was the days. We used to have it's probably changed so much, but when I was there, we had this thing called the bars, and I used to throw that as a party. It was like a big party on the cricket fields, and the good old radio days and all that. We used to have a lot of fun. It was good.
Yeah, maybe we can start off just by if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and about ZonGuru in general.
Yeah, so we'll start with ZonGuru and then we'll kind of backtrack a little bit. So ZonGuru is a business intelligence toolset for private label Amazon sellers. So specifically people creating products and selling them across Amazon's marketplaces globally. We really specialize in obviously, data capture, showcasing data, and then automating certain processes to help you grow your business. So that's us in a nutshell. We launched back in 2016, end of 2016. So we've been around for a substantial amount of time in the e-commerce space. Right now we have 17 different tools connected to Amazon North America, Europe, Australia, and India. Those are the marketplaces we're connected with. So that's us at a high level. We'll probably get a little bit more into how we differentiate ourselves and a few things as we get into it. But that's been the journey. So co-founded the company back in 2016 and been growing ever since. High level there. So that's us.
Wow, 17 tools in in 6 years? That's quite insane. What was out of curiosity, what was the first tool that you started with?
We started with 4 actually. Kind of going back to that time, I think maybe I'll come back to that in a second, but I think give you a little bit of a history of how we got there and how we launched the company, because I think that's important as to how we came up with the first few tools. My background is I'm obviously ex South African or still South African as we would probably call it. But I grew up in Johannesburg. I left and did the typical thing of going to London. Back in the day, and I spent a few years in London, and then eventually moved over to Los Angeles, where I'm currently based. I moved to Los Angeles in 2006, and my kind of career path was in advertising, working with some of the bigger advertising agencies and bigger clients. Gillette was one of mine. South African breweries was one of mine at some stage. So kind of those ones in South Africa, and then I moved to London and over to Los Angeles. But then it was around 2012 that I stumbled into Amazon and saw the opportunity to launch my own product. And I had a lot of kind of FOMO of always wanting to be an entrepreneur, but never pulling the trigger. Just being in such a crazy industry as advertising, and it was stretched you pretty quite a lot. So it was quite difficult to kind of figure out how to make the jump. But when Amazon came along, it was pretty self-explanatory. In your spare time, grow a product, launch it, and see how that goes. So I did that, launched the product, a few products, and within about 8 months, I was in the position to leave my advertising role and just focus on the Amazon business. But in partnership with one of my good friends, Adam Hudson, he went to Australia, and at that time there was a lot of this. This is 2015, 2016. There was a lot of that. Hey, get quick rich. Launch a product on Amazon, but there wasn't really good teaching around proper business practices of how to grow a business. So he went back to Australia and started that business, and I was like, well, they're going to need software. So I looked at the software at that time, and it just didn't meet the needs of what was needed for this type of teaching. And so we launched ZonGuru as a support for that business as our start. And so there were some key tools that we really needed at that time, which was obviously kind of sales estimations, product niche validation on Amazon, and keyword research. Was there, and it was email automation. I think those were the first three that we started with, and then just kind of built from there. So our whole idea was to say, hey, could we create the first all-in-one data solution for Amazon sellers, where we had products to help you at each stage of your Amazon business. So product research, niche validation, as one category, keyword research, listing optimization, SEO for Amazon, that kind of focus, and then business management, alerts, profitability, email, and review automation. That was kind of the areas of the business that were most important. So we focus on those areas over time. And right now, the 17 tools are across all of that, but really the flagship ones are around keyword research, listing optimization, and SEO for Amazon, how to get more traffic, more conversions, more sales is really a big focus of ours outside of all the other tools.
Yeah, so you obviously started all this off the back of your own Amazon startup. Would you say that there was a specific kind of tool that is most important for an Amazon startup to kind of leverage off of to kind of boost their international trajectory? Or would you say it's more dependent on the product that they're selling?
It's a little bit of both. I think hands down, product selection is the most important thing for your business, right? Because if you get that wrong, and there's so many ways to get that wrong, and usually it's just about impatience and kind of going for the shiny objects, which kind of steers people in the wrong direction. But if you pick wrong in the product, everything else is an uphill battle. Everything else you're doing, you're kind of trying to build on a very low base, right? So you've got to pick the right product. That's hands down the most important thing to do. But outside of that, it then goes on to kind of the structural SEO of your Amazon storefronts and your listings, and ensuring that is at its maximum. Because if you're doing PPC, if you're doing all for Amazon traffic, all of those kind of things that you're doing, if you don't have the kind of heartbeat of your business, which is really product first, and then your storefront listing second. If you don't get that right, you're not going to be able to scale. So that's high level. There's a bunch of other stuff like that. If you get it wrong, you're still not going to be successful. Even if you have a great product and you have great SEO, but you didn't do your launch strategy correctly, and you haven't really got the favor of the Amazon algorithm from the start, you can miss the boat, and no matter how well you do, it's very hard to come back. So there's intricacies within that, but at a high level, product and listing are very, very critical. And part of that is obviously finding the right keywords and making sure you can get an advantage over your competitors, which is key. Yeah.
So from like I want to say a journey perspective or a life cycle perspective, it would probably be, obviously you can't focus on your SEO as well as your listing optimization if you don't have a product in the first place. So that would obviously be finding the first product. The first step would be finding the best product for you, as well as the most profitable products. And if I'm not mistaken, you have a tool called, I think it's Niche, that basically leverages all that product research data that you guys pull to see basically what product's best to sell in which market. Does that sound right?
That's right, exactly. Yeah. Again, it depends on what type of customer or business you are, right? I think there's an audience of saying, hey, someone who's starting a business on Amazon and how to address finding the right kind of product. And it's very different from, an organization or a retail brand that's looking to launch one of their products or product line extension on the marketplace, right? So depending on kind of your use case and where you are, there are some differences to how to actually select product and what kind of questions you want to ask, you need answered with data. But at a high level, if you're looking to launch a product on an Amazon marketplace, the first thing to kind of understand is what is the best marketplace to launch on. And thanks to you guys and thanks to kind of how the world is evolving, you're not just your requirement is not just to launch in your local market. You have the whole globe that you can literally look at, which is really exciting at an Amazon level, because Amazon.com can get really competitive, and there's a lot of other growing marketplaces. So you've got to select your marketplace, and we help with that. But at a business question level, when you really are looking to validate a product, there's really 4 key things that we answer with the niche, with the niche finder, which is we have a niche radar, which is how much demand is there for a product. What's the profitability of a product, how much competition there is, and how much capital do you need to actually launch it? That's obviously a really critical question. So, we answer that. That's kind of a part of the difference of ZonGuru is we really think about the business questions that need to be answered, and then we answer that with a whole bunch of data in a very simple way, right? And so when you're trying to validate a product, you have to answer those questions. I need to make sure that there's demand. I need to make profit. I have to understand how much capital there is, and I need to understand how much competition there is, and if I can beat them. And then the fourth one, the fifth one, which is critical, is how do I differentiate, right? And that's a much more subtle, question that you can't really just answer with data. You have to have your business smarts and your creativity around that. But we have tools that give feedback on ideas around how to differentiate. But you definitely have to take the differentiation one into consideration. So we do that for every single product niche. And then obviously we do that across the different marketplaces. So you can kind of understand, hey, if I have this product idea or this niche and I'm going in the USA, do I need $100,000 to launch? Yes. But if I launch it in, Amazon Germany, I only need 25,000 euros to launch, right? And kind of balancing that. So, those are the kind of things we look at. We do have more sophisticated enterprise level products for kind of a lot of agencies and aggregators that use our product as well. And then we get into more sophisticated questions like, if my range of capital is 150,000 to launch a product, what is my potential ROI, in a year, in 2 years time, and what's the profitability I can make on that product? So we do a lot of forecasting around that, and looking in different markets. So we get some more sophisticated questions depending on what kind of level of seller you are.
Wow, it's mainly like a business consultant as well as having the data to back it up, especially with the types of advice that you guys are giving. So sounds like quite an all-in-one solution. And just like the way you're talking about, obviously talking about forecasting and the ROI behind it, I think it's a natural play. I'm always thinking about partnerships, but bringing in like a funding partner or capital partners also help your customers. So not only are your customers getting the great data that you guys provide them and the foresight to go into a certain market, but they can also leverage off your partners like us to get your clients as well as any e-commerce seller into that market, as well as, for instance, a funding or a capital partner to actually fund that journey, fund that venture into the new market. So it's something that puts all the different pieces together, it looks like, for an e-commerce seller, which is rare, I'd say, in this market. There's so many unanswered questions and common questions that people ask that a lot of rubbish can be given from those questions itself. So that's ideal.
Yeah, that's it. I think there's a couple of good points you made there. I mean, one, this idea of being able to strategically bundle with various partners to offer kind of a as much as we can say ZonGuru, hey, we offer solutions at each part of the journey. That becomes pretty complex. If you're trying to solve every single one, and sometimes strategic partners absolutely work. For example, we're not in the funding area, and having a funding partner as part of that is something that we have. Guys like you, like ZEE, even a PPC partner are things that we're looking at, which really help to kind of allow you to focus and be an expert in a specific area, but have the right strategic partners to offer your clients and your customers kind of a more interlinked solution. So I think that's absolutely something that's worth looking at. and we are actively doing that. I think the second point you made there, which is this idea of a business consultant that really takes data and then provides solutions and automation. Like that's the mecca of SaaS, which is what we are, right? And AI, and even AI behind that, which is like, how do we, at the end of the day, try and become that personal consultant for a seller, where we can, get all the data together and then provide specific, actionable advice and saying, hey, here's some data, this is what you need to do with it. And in some cases, automate that so it actually just gets done for you, and really kind of move that forward. So, it's a pretty cool industry to be in, because that's evolving rapidly, right? With AI, with data, trying to, SaaS originally was like, hey, great, we'll give you all the data and you have to manually make your decisions and take action. And that's really evolving into like, hey, we have all the data. Here's some things that we want to highlight to you. Here's some things that we automated and done for you, and just kind of moving forward in that direction. So that's absolutely where it is going, and is going right now. And we have those kind of solutions. We have something called actionable advice, where we provide, based on the data, we actually provide, daily kind of alerts and actionable advice that you need to take in your business. Some stuff that we automate as well. So it's a pretty cool space.
So that's that actionable advice. That's basically it's triggers from underlying AI and technology. That's basically reading the data behind it, and then you using your experience within running an Amazon business yourself, having triggers and I want to say calls to actions off the back of that data for obviously alerts for an Amazon.
Yeah,
seller.
I mean, it's AI as simple as like if-then logic, which is just pure coding, all the way through to kind of self-learning, off of certain predictions, right? Forecasts, etc. So it's all of the above. But at a simple format, it's things like, hey, we've noticed your ACOS, which is advertising cost of sales, on these 3 ASINs has, increased dramatically over the last few days. You should go in and check these campaigns, or we found that if we request a review from Amazon in less than 24 hours, it's actually getting a better response rate for your product. So we've increased that and automated that anyway, right? So these are the kind of things that we can do to one, either alert and provide a path to improvements, or just basically automating that for customers as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so if we maybe we have to steer the conversation back to a product level. I see something. I think you guys wrote a blog on it fairly recently about quite a hot topic at the moment when it comes to KDP, which is obviously Kindle Direct Publishing, and publishing and selling low content books such as journals, planners, etc., that are quite profitable within the space, just obviously from its low cost to sell. Can you maybe touch very briefly?
Yeah, I can touch on it. I mean, this gives the inner workings of ZonGuru. Like the way that I actually came across that was really just our kind of SEO specialist kind of looking at traffic and he's always looking for opportunities of like, hey, where do we need to create content? Hence the content we've created. But he came across, Amazon Kindle Publishing, saw the traffic and this large trend there, was curious as he is. He's great, and kind of dived into that to understand, hey, what are people trying to solve there, and what tools actually work in that space. And coincidentally, our tool actually works really well for helping them to understand, again, that niche, that kind of sales, the demand side for whatever types of products they're trying to get into. So our products work in that niche, and there's not actually that much content there. So that's really the reason we did that. And at first I was pretty hesitant because it's not really our direct the line of, it's not our target audience, right? We're really looking for those private label sellers that are creating unique products and taking them to market. So it's a very different, much more top of funnel, kind of approach to getting people interested in ZonGuru and seeing what we can do. And also top of funnel in terms of their Amazon journey. Typically it's like people will start with something pretty simple, like, Amazon Kindle Publishing. And then they'll move into like, kind of, wholesaling, kind of that whole journey, kind of reselling products before they really move into private label. So for us, it's really just, hey, there's an area of interest. A lot of people are actually launching these products, and it's one of those kind of key things for smaller, individuals or SMBs that are trying to get into the space. It's a way of, using low capital to start generating funds and get your start in e-commerce. And hopefully that progresses to, something that's obviously private label, which will probably require some more capital at some point. So that's really why we've kind of helped to solve the content area there, to give people a platform to really get in and start their e-commerce journey there.
Okay, brilliant. So I guess it's the topic is less relevant, but it's just mainly the fact that you guys are keeping on top of latest trends and optimizing your tools to reflect those latest trends as well, which is basically enhancing the modern sellers toolkit that they can use when choosing the right product.
You said it way better than me.
Which is fantastic.
I like that.
But I wanted to ask maybe on the topic of closing the conversation. It's basically it's a three-part question. It's what is next for you and for ZonGuru? Will you be expanding into more of the general e-commerce space outside of Amazon? Is there plans for that? Basically, how ZEE clients could benefit from ZonGuru in the future when it comes to global expansion?
Yeah, I think next for us, I think we're doubling down on some of the great tools we have, especially around that SEO, listing management, keyword research. We definitely have the best tools in this space, specifically because we do context SEO, which I define as not only trying to find the best keywords or improving the best listing for you, but really understanding where your competitors play and how to beat them. So we do that the best in the space. So we're doubling down on a lot of that. We have an enterprise product which we're focusing on because the industry is evolving and there are specialist agencies, aggregators, big brands that need a little bit more help than the basic seller tool suite. So we're focusing a lot on that. I think that's a pretty big progression over the next while, and something that we're seeing a very good product market fit, especially on the enterprise level. So we'll continue to focus there. I think some of the interesting strategic partnerships, like you kind of mentioned earlier, and partnering with companies like ZEE are on the roadmap ahead for us as well, which I think is great. I think at the end of the day, what ZEE solves at a core concept of helping people, cross-border sell and get their products into international markets and helping through border control, etc., is such a critical piece of the business. And I've heard, from the days of starting in Amazon, there's so many horror stories of people, trying to time their launch, stuff getting stuck at borders, unforeseen expenses, delays, everything. And so it gets a lot more complex, as we kind of evolve in this industry. And at the same time, a lot more simplified when you have experts like yourselves, handling that for customers. So, I think that's a great service. And how ZEE customers can be helped with ZonGuru is one, just, there's many different ways. Obviously, whenever you get into a market, you have to have put your best foot forward. And we can show you that with any listings is ensure and guarantee that you have the best listing on page one versus your competitors. And you have to be able to check that off. So that you can focus on everything else that you need to do. So, number one, we do that. We hands down will give you actual keywords that people are typing into Amazon, and that's a big differentiator over a lot of the other tools. So we'll help there. But just really understanding if you are going into new global markets, what is that potential? How much capital do I need? How much do I need to spend on marketing, PPC? All of these key questions to help you with your launch and to be confident that you're going into the right markets. We can absolutely help on that front as well.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well, John, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. As always, it's always great having a chat with you. If you're an e-commerce seller and you're listening to this podcast, I don't think you can go wrong with using any one of ZonGuru's tools for the best product research as well as data analytics. Basically, using ZonGuru's tools to enhance your business and to basically enhance your business decisions as well when it comes to product, when it comes to marketplace, and many other things. We look forward to having you on again sometime.
Yeah, love to be back. Thank you. And you guys are doing an amazing job, and doing it all from kind of that core Johannesburg, Europe position is amazing. So, congrats, and we'll be supporting you guys every step of the way.
Thanks for watching the Easy E-commerce podcast. Click here for more episodes and follow us on our socials link below. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe.